Welcome to Sparks of Love. My name is Jerri Lynn Sparks, and this is a podcast that I created to learn more about love in all its forms. And today happens to be Valentine's Day. And like it or not, some people love it, some people hate it. But I thought, how can I have a podcast about love without doing a special on Valentine's Day? So I told my producer and studio owner, Scott Fitzgerald. Hi, Scott.
Hello.
Hello. That I think instead of having a guest this week, I think for this particular episode, it would be great to really dive down deep into my history with Valentine's Day, why I feel the way I sometimes feel about it, and I thought we'd jump right in there. Most people think of Valentine's Day, I think, as this commercial pressure. You walk into the grocery store about 2 weeks prior to Valentine's Day, and it sometimes takes my breath away. Just like I turn the corner, think I'm going to buy pears, and then whoosh, red balloons everywhere, pink hearts everywhere, chocolate everywhere, cards, flowers, everything. And don't get me wrong, I love all those things. I love it. And I just feel like it's become a little commercialized and we've lost the thing that it was originally for.
It's like every holiday in this country, right?
I know.
Christmas, it doesn't matter what it is. Mm-hmm. It's been turned into a revenue machine. And then it loses the whole reason why it's there. That's
where I think in my 20s, I still had that idealistic view of it. I loved all the rom-coms, and I loved the movie When Harry Met Sally, and there's several others. And I started thinking about, not only the history of Valentine's Day, and depending on which history you look, I know that there was an actual Saint Valentine who had been imprisoned and had written love letters, and that's kind of the idea of the history of it. I don't want to go too deep into that and get academic today. I'm prone to do that. But I thought I would go into the history of my Valentine's Day. So, and there's Galentine's Day too, like when women have gotten really fed up with it. I'm going to a Galentine's Day brunch this year with my girlfriends, not because I'm fed up with it, just because love in all its forms, you can celebrate that. So Galentine's Day is a response to some of that commercial stuff that you're talking about. But I was thinking about this, like, what is my first memory of Valentine's Day? And it's third grade. I was in a combined class with Miss Robbie and Miss Bird at Trappill Elementary School. Shout out to the Wildcats. There was a combined class, and so they had broken the wall down between these two classrooms, and it was a little bit a little bit chaotic there. And probably instead of having your 20 students, there was 40 third graders running around. And the school newspaper had a circulation of all the students, and they put an ad out or a notice out. I think the principal announced it, that for Valentine's Day, you could buy your sweetheart or your crush a little heart printed in the paper with a to and from. So, from Jerri Sparks to so-and-so for 10 cents. And 10 cents doesn't sound like much, but to a third grader, you're going, oh, where am I going to get 10 cents? You don't have a job. It's awkward to ask your parents, hey, Mom, can I have a dime? Because ice cream doesn't cost a dime. I think ice cream back then was, maybe 50 cents or something. So I actually just started collecting pennies. Like everywhere you go in life, back when I was growing up, there was pennies everywhere. And so I collected enough pennies to buy this heart and have it printed in the paper. And I chose this boy I think all the girls were crushing on. His name was Bruce C. Colbert. And he was just the dreamiest guy. He was very athletic. His family owned a business or two in town. They owned the golf course in town, and they owned several stores. They owned a restaurant. And I just thought of the Colberts as kind of like what we think of as the Trumps today. Like they owned everything. And there was something very dreamy about him because he was so, first of all, he was good looking, but two, he was just like very athletic, and he was always chill. He didn't have that arrogant thing about him that a lot of guys like I'm describing could have. He was just kind of very laid back, almost like Spicoli, in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I think.
Mr. Hand.
Yeah. Or even in Dazed and Confused, Matthew McConaughey's character. He's kind of got that, all right. That was kind of my vision of Brucey. He was just so laid back.
But this is third grade you're talking about?
Yes, third grade. But I knew him like all my school years, and he kind of morphed into this, like, he would have been very at home in California, Malibu, surfer dude kind of way. So I'm just giving you the vibe of Brucey. And so I was really nervous about it. And, weeks is a long time to a third grader. And so I was like, just almost like panic sweat for the day that the newspaper was going to be published. And so I remember when it did, all the third graders ran to get their copy of the paper, and you had to buy it. And I flipped to the page and I saw, and it was like a collage of all these hearts. Like the hearts were probably the size of a quarter. And everybody's names were in different, orientations of the way the hearts were drawn around. And I looked and I scanned and I finally saw it. And it said, to Brucey Colbert from Jerri Sparks. And I felt my body get hot, the heat coming up. I was so red-faced. And then I kept looking, and all of a sudden, there was a heart from Brucey to Jerri Sparks. And I'm like, oh. And then I kept looking. There was a heart from Richard Holloway to Jerri Sparks. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, no. I've got two very, very, high-value boys here in my mind. They were the two best athletes in the class that I knew of, both very good-looking. I had no idea I was even on Richard Holloway's radar. Brucey I saw because I was in the same community. I lived right close to him, and I encountered him because my dad golfed, and we dined at the restaurant all the time. So he was, probably on my bus, too. I don't remember. But Richard I didn't encounter except at school. And so I remember feeling like guilty and bad. I'm like, oh no, I've hurt Richard's feelings, but I didn't know. I didn't know how he felt about me. And I thought, okay, well, does this now mean that Brucey and I are boyfriend and girlfriend? I had never had a boyfriend at this point, hadn't kissed a boy at this point. And so I thought he would make his move, like, Brucey would make his move. Brucey did not make his move. And a lot of girls like Brucey. And it was just a big nothing burger, like nothing ever happened. And I remember Richard and Brucey, because so many different girls chose them, there was a competition that started between the two of them. But so my first Valentine's was a great, reciprocity. Like he liked me, I liked him, but nothing ever happened from it. And then you flash forward all through high school, I would see him, and we kind of started running in different crowds once I became basketball player, and I played a lot of sports, intramural and so forth, softball, volleyball. I did track for a little while, and he didn't follow in that circle. He just, as far as I know, he didn't. We just lost touch with each other.
Did he stop being a supreme athlete? Did he no longer do the athletics like he did when he was younger?
He didn't show up on the basketball team. I don't remember if he did football. Once I hit 7th grade, he just kind of fell out of my world. I don't know what happened. I think I became so consumed with sports. I remember he played, I think, in elementary school. We were K through 8. But then when we got to high school, it was just, 3 different school systems. We had Mulberry, Trap Hill, and Mountain View feeding our high school. And so we went from, just a small, handful of kids to, I think it was over 100 when I started school. And there was 4 different grades. There's 400 people. So I just lost track of him. And then my dad, after high school, started coaching a softball team, a men's softball league. And I lived near the softball field. And one day I was sitting there, and I was probably 20 years old, maybe 21. And from the corner of my eye, I'm sitting in the, around the field, and this white car pulled in. And I saw it, and I saw the guy get out, and I couldn't tell from afar who it was. And all of a sudden I look, he's coming right at me. I'm like, who is that? Well, it was Brucey Colbert. So this is like years and years later, and he comes and sits right down beside of me and told me that he'd always wanted to ask me out, but he never had the nerve to do it. And he wanted to know if I would like to go out with him. I'm like, yes, I would. And so
it's about time, Brucey.
And so we did. We went out on several dates for that, like a little summer love kind of thing. And then it became, on our last date, it became apparent, like, we were definitely in different life trajectories. I was going to college at night at the time, working during the day, and I was getting really bored with Wilkes County, North Carolina, where I grew up. I love where I'm from, but I was this adventurer, and I wanted to see more. and it just wasn't happening for me there. I had tried to get a job at the local newspaper, and there were no openings. And so we just kind of parted, kind of like it fizzled out. No breakup or anything. We just knew it. The last date we had, we just knew that these were different trajectories in life.
Well, I mean, you said he's like Spicoli, so
yeah. And I am.
You're not kind of girl that would go for a Spicoli.
I'm more like a Meg Ryan in When Harry Met Sally. Like, I'm doing my thing, right, and I'm exploring. You know, she takes off at the beginning of the movie. She's leaving college from Chicago and she's headed to the Big Apple. Well, that was me, except I went to Los Angeles. Like, I was ready to go and start my life. And I remember being conflicted about it because I thought he was very sweet. I just really was going in a different way. And I think it made him nervous too. And so we just had a sweet parting. You know, there wasn't any, big drama or anything. And I just remember, giving him a goodbye kiss and knowing that that was the last kiss. And I think he knew it too. And it was like the sweetest way to break up, and it wasn't even a breakup. We just decided not to continue, this summer-long crush kind of thing. But it did a couple of things. It let me check off that box. I always wonder, what happened to that guy? Well, I know what happened to that guy. And sadly, Brucey, a few years later, after I'd already moved to Los Angeles, he passed away. I don't know what from. Oh. It's heartbreaking because he was a good guy. He was like really, really sweet. I will try to find out what happened to Brucey, but I remember just being devastated because I knew him since kindergarten. I knew him when he was little. I knew the whole trajectory of his life. So that's kind of my first Valentine's Day. But, I think it's not a good story maybe, but at least lets me, the readers know, like, the earliest Valentine's Day story for me did not have a happy ending.
It's a sweet story though.
It
really captures, you're making me you're reminding me of my Valentine's Days when I was in elementary school. This is in South Florida. Yeah. And I'm not very good at remembering my younger years. Like, I'm amazed at how people can write memoirs, and they're talking about, I remember one day was a Tuesday and I was in 4th grade and this happened. I'm like, you know what? I have like 6 memories of my entire life up until high school.
Do you know that's a trauma response, Scott?
You think?
It is.
What was I don't.
So in psychology, we're taught that people that have large gaps of memory problems from their childhood, subconsciously, their brain is shutting it down to protect themselves, almost like a cocoon, an impenetrable cocoon wrapped around those memories. So it would be interesting for you to talk to somebody about that.
Well, I do know one reason why I didn't connect the two. Mm-hmm. But it makes sense now that I think about it. But I do remember kind of my first big crush, mm-hmm, and her name was Carrie Guston. She was this lovely blonde girl, really funny sense of humor, really quirky. And me and this other guy named Steven, we were both after her. And this was, I think this was 4th grade.
Scott versus Steven.
Yes. And and we were both the funniest kids in the class. Mm. And so we were going back, we had this little game where who can make her laugh the best, like who could make her laugh the hardest. Aww. And it was going back and forth and back and forth. And neither one of us won, but but it was funny. I remember that. And I remember that feeling of, like, every time I saw her, that feeling you get where you're like, oh, it's almost like when you're going down on a roller coaster, yes, that pit in your stomach where you're like, oh, yes. I just remember that. And your story kind of reminded me of that. It's not something that, I haven't felt that. And since, I felt it again when Kelly and I got together and we got married, but,
I love that.
But that feeling and the as being a child, being, yes, a little kid where you're not really, and you walk around. Did you guys do this in school where everybody brings in the cards and you walk around and you give them to everybody? Like, everybody in the class got one from you?
We did. We had an envelope. We all had to decorate a heart, a folder that had been cut in a heart and had our name on it, and they were all taped to the wall around the classroom perimeter. And we all went like mailmen and put our Valentines in like that. Right.
So when your mom took you to the store to buy all the Valentine's Day cards, you had to remember who was in your class, and you had to write them all out, and then You were kind of hoping. You knew that everybody was going to give you one, so
Yeah.
it wasn't like, oh, I got one from this book, but you wanted to see what they wrote.
Yes. Oh, you know what else? I'm a girl. I wanted to see how much glitter was on it. So I knew that I was special to someone. And Abby, your daughter's going to appreciate this. I knew how special I was to someone if they gave me a glittery card. And I knew that I was giving them a special card by how much glitter. And today, I don't know if you can tell, I've got glitter in my hair, I got glitter on my makeup. Like, there can never be enough glitter. And I know Abby agrees with me on that. But that was one of the ways I could tell, that a boy had spent a little extra, because it wasn't one of those from the 12 pack. It was, he got a special one for me, or maybe he added a little glitter, or he added a little.
Well, that's the thing. If they took the time to make it a little bit more special than all of the other ones.
Oh, it's like Christmas gifts. So years ago, I gave this guy that, oh my God, talk about roller coaster. Whew. I gave him a gift, and I had spent as much time on the wrapping paper and the ribbons and choosing the colors and having it all beautiful. And I remember his eyes just lit up, and it was a beautiful box. He's like, this is so beautiful, I don't want to open it. And so he carefully undid the ribbon, and he pulled the thing from the side, and it had beautiful tissue paper inside, like glittery tissue paper. And he said to me, do you wrap all Christmas gifts like this? And I said, no, I did that for you.
Wow.
That's part of the care, the attention to detail you're talking about.
And that's when you're like, whoa.
Well, that's what love is. It's the care and the attention to detail. I remember, not to harp on my ex-husband, but one year, the last birthday that I remember he and I celebrated for me, he just went and bought me $100 worth of magazines, and he did it last minute. I'm like, why?
What?
That doesn't make sense. He's like, well, you're always reading magazines. I just thought you would like that. I'm like, I watched him leave to go to the dollar store. And that lack of care, that lack of planning, that lack of foresight, it was a task, a chore. And that's how all my birthdays were with him. Oh. And so that lack of attention and detail. And, one of the other episodes we had talked about with Dr. Burkhalter is I said, I want someone who thinks of me as special. I don't have a problem with me wanting that. I'm not going to apologize for that. If you're not special to the person you're with, what the heck are you doing with them?
And you shouldn't have to apologize. I mean, that's all we really want is for one person to be special to that one person.
Exactly.
To be their
person. One person. That is the key, too. I think if you have self-respect and you want to be seen as a good, ethical person, you don't cheat. I think for me, it is a form of self-respect and also a respect for the person you're with. It's a form of,
Yeah, but all things being equal, both people involved in the relationship have to be healthy mentally and emotionally.
Absolutely.
So, and if they're not, if there's something going on there, they can act in ways that they probably wouldn't act if they weren't healthy in the emotional and the mental state.
And that's what's really hard. And so I wanted to find out from other second and third graders, before life has completely tarnished them, what their definition of love is. I'm just joking. So I asked a teacher that I know if she could ask her students, and these are anonymous, but I wanted to share with you some answers from second and third graders. So what is love to you was the question. So one of them said, a warm blanket of peace and warmth.
Wow.
And the other one said, my heart. I'm like, oh, I love that one. Love is my heart. The other person said, the people I care about. Another one said, when people care for you and help you. Another young student said, when you know someone loves you. Another one said, when people are kind to you. That's what is love.
I love this because it's just so innocent and so pure.
It is. Another one said, what is love to you? It's being nice and kind. Another one said it's being joyful, which I love that because I've read an article that said a lot of times fathers would come home from work in the 1950s and they would, as soon as they approached the door, they would do almost an invisible, okay, the work is off, the stress of work is off, I'm going to be happy and, giving of my kindness and my joy to my family. I'm kind of torn on that because you really should be able to be your authentic self with your spouse. If you've had a bad day, you don't have to pretend that you didn't.
Yeah.
But I took it from the child's perspective. Yes, when you are a parent, you need to put on that united front for your kids so they think everything's okay. And when I was divorced, I remember like I was beaten up, I had broken bones, we had lost our house, our pets, and I remember just having to be still strong for my kids, and I was in excruciating pain, and I didn't want my kids to know that. And so I was just like doing my best to be real and be present. They're a little bit older, 9 to 13, but I still wanted them to know that Mom's got this. We're okay. We're going to be fine. So that is a form of love. Inside I was like, oh my God, I'm sinking here. But I didn't want my children to feel fear that Mom couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
So that for me was a form of my love. I want to read some more. Some other second and third graders said love is talking to the kid that is annoying the teacher. I love that. Was probably my favorite one. Like she's saying, oh, this person really needs some intervention here. Let's go over. And she is two-pronged. She's helping the student and the teacher. So I just love that answer. The other one said love is caring for the teacher when she needs it. Oh, I love that, giving. Another one said love is giving hugs to the best teacher ever in the world.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I know. Another one said love is loving their pets, which I have 2 cats, Midnight and Love, that I absolutely love. So I totally love that answer. The other one said love is loving their family. Another one said love is going on vacation. Oh, yes. Awesome. I think these are the last 2. Love is being with my family and my friends. And the last one, being with my grandpa and grandma, with my yo-yo and cousins and the newborn baby. Aw. So I think that was all of them. Is there any more?
I think there might be some more.
There's some more? Okay.
Yeah.
If there's more, I'm happy to read them. Okay, yep, there's a lot more. Love is I take care of my family and I clean my room.
I love that answer.
I love that answer. Being neat and clean is a form of service and love. And actually it reminds me of my dad. My dad said something like happy wife, happy life. And when I asked the 2 of them, my parents, what their definition of love was, Mom said it's a deep emotional feeling, whereas Dad said it's wanting to make other people happy. And I think cleaning your room is a way of making other people happy.
Yeah.
Very service-oriented answer from my dad, which I found intriguing. The other one said is loving their friends, helping others, loving your cousins, helping your sister. And they spelled sister so cute, S-I-S-D-E-R. I love that. Sister. It's so cute. Being kind to others, being kind to friends, being kind when someone is kind to you. Interesting. I love hamsters. I wanted one for so long. I love that. I love my pet turtle. I love my family. I love my BFFs, Kinsley and JoJo. I love my family so much. I love my pet Zoe, and I call her Zozo. I love my BFF Jessa and Joe. I love my mom and dad. I love my pets. I love my family and siblings and cousins and aunts and uncles, and most of all, my crush Emma. This is kind of like the 3rd grade story, right?
You go.
When you have the little, so they go digital. See, mine is lost to the, landfill of time. There was no digital, so too bad I don't still have those Traffield Elementary newspapers. A lot of pets. One said they feel love when they play with their cat. They feel love when they hug their mom and dad, or when they go to, I think, dancing class, which I love the idea of dance as a form of love, like Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire, and she always did everything backwards and in heels. Being kind to others, helping people when they need it, helping their family. Love the family. It's the only thing that I want on my list.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Oh my goodness, I love that one. Then they said things like being nice to others, loving their dad, loving their mom. Love is me, they said.
Oh,
I love that.
That's a really interesting answer.
It is an interesting answer. They're saying that they are of love. Love is all them. I love that answer. Love is family. And this one really got me. Love is everybody I know. Oh, I just love it. Is this the last 3?
Yep.
Love is my girlfriend. So even at 2nd and 3rd grade, we got girlfriends going on here. Love is their mom and dad. And then one is loving their brother. So I just thought those
I loved the one where it was me.
Yeah.
Like, that's really insightful for such a young child.
I know. I was thinking about that. And it would be interesting, if there's a documentary series. I can't remember the guy who did it, but he did 7 Up, and then they would do 14 Up, and they would follow these kids from age 7 on up, and they're now in their 60s. I've never watched these episodes, but I've seen like snippets and stuff on YouTube and whatnot. And I would always wonder if we could go and ask, second and third graders what love is, and then every 7 years ask them and see
that's awesome.
the trajectory of their lives.
Yeah.
Could we pinpoint this person who said love is me and see if they become, a service worker? Maybe they become a doctor, or they become a therapist, or, counselor of some sort.
Or they become a Hollywood star.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot of love is me in Hollywood. I lived out there for a decade, so certainly got a lot of those out there. But then I also did, and I don't know if Abby could maybe, bring me the list. I also had a New Year's Eve party a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month and a half ago now. And
Where's the list?
I put a red box, which I have here beside of me, on the dining room table of the party. And I had live music here. Dave Turner was our live musician. And I had, like lots of food and stuff like that. Oh, thank you very much. And I put this red box, which you can see here, on the middle of the table when people first walked in the door where all the food was. And I said, this is a love box. And I want you to tell me what is love to you and put it in the box. And I had warned them ahead of time. I created a digital group for everybody that was coming to the party a couple of weeks ahead of time. And I said, I want you to be thinking about what is love to you, and then have your answers when you come in the door. And so I put pen and paper by the box, and I just, the party was just like live music. We're all talking with each other. And I said, just come up with whatever answers you come up with, put them in the box, and then I'll read them on this podcast. And my friends, they really went with it. Like, they really got into it. And I remember going out I have a she shed, and I went out to a she shed, and I came back in, and like 6 of my friends were around the table huddled, like writing their answers and talking about it and really taking the time. And at the party, at the very end, a couple of them got me to open it and read it. But it's been several months now, so I've forgotten what they are, but I wanted to, pull these out and read them and tell you what the grown-up perspective is. So these are people, all my age compared to the second and third graders. So here we go. And I don't know who wrote what, so that could be a fun game, guessing who wrote what. So the first one, love is acceptance. Love is peace. Love is life-changing. And then they drew a heart. So you see that. Okay, so that's that one. I'm just going to drop these on the ground. Love is belonging to something bigger than yourself. It is the invisible thread that keeps the fabric of humanity together. Like, that is deep, and I think it's very true. This one, love is, baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
What is love?
What is love? I know exactly who this is from, Michael. Love is showing up and listening. Ooh, I like that one. I like that one very much. Okay, let's see here. Love is serendipitous, surprising, roomy, and respectful. Unpushy sexiness. Ooh. Love is being, presence, work, easy, enjoyable, forgiving, oh, so loving. That's like a poem. And I think I know who did that one too. Love is a Swiss Army knife. The most versatile tool in your emotional toolbox.
I love it.
Those lucky enough to own one and know how to use it can do the greatest good. Improperly used ones might cut themselves. Whoa!
Who's the psychologist that was at your party?
Oh, yeah. I think I know. So far, I think I know who wrote every one. Love is the breaking down of the barrier between a person and the world around them. It creates a connection to another at the deepest level and thereby validates truth, beauty, and commonality. Ooh, I don't know who wrote that one. Okay, these are all people at my party, all adults. How I define love with my husband. Lounging in comfy pants with no makeup on, and he still thinks you look hot.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I like
Absolutely.
that one.
That's my every evening.
Oh, I love it. Kelly, you hear that? How I define love with my husband. And then they did it further. Lounging in comfy pants with no makeup or hair done, and he still thinks I look hot for L. O is openness to heavy metal, mushrooms, RC trucks. Fishing and all the things I don't love, but I love him. V is for venting a legacy by way of raising kind and confident sons. And E is exhaling when his truck pulls into the driveway at midnight. Know he made it home safe from another shift safely. Now I'm going to cry. See, I said I wasn't going to cry.
No.
That one. I know exactly who that one is. Love is laughing with your best friend. Love is dreaming about a bucket list together. Love is really feeling music together. Oh, yeah. Really feeling music together is awesome. And the last one. Love is family, being there for each other through thick and thin, up and down, and watching your kids grow into capable adults. The biggest thing for me is now that I'm an adult, I'm no longer in third grade, I'm no longer, crushing on Brucey Colbert, God rest his soul, is that at the end of the day, I want to come home and have someone there that gets me. Love is maddening. It can be an enigma. It can be really hard. We make it more complicated than we need to be. I think we need to be reminded of the clarity that we had as third graders, where we know what love is. At the end of the day, we want to come home and put on a comfy shirt that reminds us of somebody that we love. So we all may be comfortable and happy in love. Happy Valentine's Day.
How did you do that?
I met you.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you, Jerri. This was a really great episode. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you
I have
all.
a whole new appreciation for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and thank you all for watching Sparks of Love. I hope you have a great week.